All right, so our policy approach is called the Adopt a Mangrove, and we believe it is an integrated approach that will help restore mangrove forests in Bangladesh, improve livelihoods of people, and help the people of Bangladesh fight against climate change. So just as a little bit of introduction into mangrove forests and the ecological benefits of restoration, and first looking at deforestation trends. So in the past 3 centuries, there's been a gradual conversion of mangrove forests into agricultural land. From 2000 to 2010, there was an 8.3% loss in total forest area, and within the past 3 decades, it's been almost a quarter of total forest area lost. And computer simulations have shown us that if these trends were to continue, there will be a complete loss of mangrove forests in the near future. And that will result in more storm surges, increase in flood speeding, and increases in area affected by flooding from future cyclones and monsoon seasons. We specifically wanted to focus on the Sundarbans, which are mangrove areas located on the confluence of 3 rivers in Bangladesh. It has some of the largest mangrove forests in the entire world, so we believe that there's a lot of potential for reforestation efforts here. So looking into the effects or the extent of deforestation. So on the right, all the area represented in yellow were former mangrove land that have been converted into agriculture within the past 3 centuries. And then the purple are current mangrove forests. So as you can tell, there's a huge loss, and we believe that there is potential to kind of reverse this loss and help improve the ecological climate of Bangladesh. So what are the ecological benefits of restoration? So we divided this into adaptation benefits and mitigation benefits. So as far as adaptation benefits go, we can reduce damages caused by cyclones and flooding. As I mentioned, losing mangrove forests increases the effects of these. So building more mangrove forests can help reduce damage. For example, Cyclone Sidr, which occurred in 2011, cost Bangladesh about $1.6 billion and 10,000 lives. And as climate change makes future storms worse, mangrove forest restoration efforts can help reduce the extent of damage. Likewise, Bangladesh also has a huge problem with pollutant leakage caused by ship collisions and oil spills, and mangrove forests do an extremely effective job of filtering out pollutants from the waters and maintaining the ecological climate of the Sundarbans. Likewise, there's also mitigation benefits in that mangrove forests can prevent coastal erosion, and they also have high carbon sequestration power, helping it absorb huge amounts of carbon dioxide yearly. We're going to specifically focus on the Champa Union, which is a rural council originally located in the Sundarbans, but due to heavy deforestation over the years, has been primarily converted into agricultural land. Most of the population lives below the poverty line, about 55%, and it is an area that is highly disaster prone with cyclone and tidal waves yearly.
All right. Why choose mangrove forest, and why choose Champa Union? So we believe that the structure of this program will involve the three-pronged approach, which comes from the Environmental Ministry, which I'll detail in future slides. So first, the Adopt a Mangrove program will involve local communities with priority to women and migrants in mangrove caretaking and cash awards for land and asset accumulation. The second program will be education and training program of 50 Khulna District University experts to teach sensor and technology and tree maintenance to these people. And it will also be reciprocal in that local people will be able to involve their own traditional knowledge into the open databases. Third, we have a monitoring program, which will involve 500 forestry officers assisting in in-person inspection and management of open database, as well as a forum for local community democratic engagement. So what would this actually look like? Diverse models based off of levels of community involvement. We thought of what if only 500 people involve 100 trees per person, or what if you have 4,000 to 2,000 people involving different numbers of trees? We settled on a goal of 4,000 of the 17,662 population involvement, 55% of which, as Tarun said, are living below the poverty line. So the demand for employment is massive, and we also have not just employment, but various considerations that are fiscally pragmatic and involve local context, which involves fishing and ecotourism economy, which show massive growth through this program. There would be 8 hectares of the 5,322 Champa Union parashad cultivated, and not just cultivated for agriculture, but for agroforestry. So past programs did not involve agroforestry and did not involve mangrove reforestation. For instance, a program developed in the 70s and 80s by the Asian Development Bank committed 4,800 hectares for timber and fuelwood production, and did not consider agroforestry. Only 100 hectares were informally used for this purpose. And so this is a novel and innovative solution because it centers agroforestry and centers other considerations like ecotourism and the digital modern education and training program on our next slide. And so this program would involve Kona University experts to train rural population and incorporate local solutions. 50 experts would go on top of their job to create an open source database and sensor information infrastructure involving local management practices and global academia involvement. So what are the social benefits of this? Digital and social forum under the monitoring program will involve co-management by community members, digital input and forestry officers, mutual management of open source database, democratic involvement in beating corruption, which is the major problem in terms of implementation of many climate change related solutions. This would be averted through the horizontality of our three-pronged approach. The reduction of poverty through ecotourism and cash rewards for entrepreneurship and free income is a novel solution that has never been implemented in Bangladesh before. So the potential for economic assets and land purchase, especially as many poor Bangladeshi people are landless, would be taken into consideration. In addition to the application priority taking into account gender, socioeconomic distribution, and youth for 18 to 29 years old. This would prevent internally displaced populations due to climate change-related disasters, cyclone mitigation, private sector investment, and it would also help reduce reliance on central government, which again is prone to corruption over time. So after 1 year, these people would be economically independent and gain many economic assets just as land. Finally, it involves the acquisition of knowledge and knowledge sharing of traditional ecological knowledge to universities as well. So how would this be budgetarily, fiscally massive? Because the massive potential for this is because of the dramatically increased climate-related budget from 2022 to 2023, and it involves diversification through the international climate finance. So we have no strings attached funds and reduction of international debt from the Environmental Ministry, which increased from taka 18 crore from taka 12,000 crore in the previous year, which proves that there's a lot of political willingness for this. Next, we'll go to Sailor for monitoring mechanisms.
All right. Today, we'll talk about the monitoring mechanisms that are very important to ensure that corruption doesn't run rampant in a country that has been plagued with those problems. So firstly, we'll be involving the local community in making sure that doesn't happen. So the government will sign MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding, with local NGOs such as the Cox's Bazar Civil Society and NGO Forum. We'll invite them to provide annual reports, and we'll publish the reports on behalf of them. So everybody in Bangladesh and in the world can see that we're doing the important work that we promised to do. And secondly, we'll conduct rotational in-person inspection of the forest by our forestry officers in the Ministry of Environment, as we represent that agency. This approach can work as South Korea has shown in the past. In the 1970s, different groups of officers essentially went to forest trees to conduct these examinations. It's a similar program. This can make sure that no same group of people will stay in one area for too long to make sure that the kind of corruption doesn't happen. And the Korean model has been very, very successful. And the next thing is using technology, the tree censoring system. So yeah, the tree sensors are very important, and they're pretty affordable too. They're about $17 each, and they're developed by European and Japanese companies. What they do is they can measure growth of the trees and also other internal systems of the trees, like water transport and within the tree, water content, etc. But not only that, we're also integrating the technology of Internet of Things. And essentially, these can allow us to upload and then process information to the cloud system, and so that we can make the information publicly available. And lastly, for the sustainable growth for our country, we want to use carbon credit. As we know that carbon credit is, has a big appetite for these kind of issues. When multiple multinational companies pollute, they are incentivized to provide financial compensations to actors like us so that we can protect the environment. After calculation, 20 hectares can bring over $1 million to the community in the future. And we'll also create a community council that consists of NGOs and other elders that will make sure that local communities get the vast majority of the money instead of the government. And this is our presentation. Thank you to distinguished judges. Thank you so much for listening.